All right, and welcome back to another week here on 2 Hours No Traffic. I am your host, Philly Brandon. Spence is on his honeymoon, knocking back some fruity cocktails by the beach somewhere. But we're going to do an all Philly episode. We got my good friend, Brendan Petrilli. His friends call him Trilli, the host of the Cold Ones Conversations podcast. Brendan, thanks for popping on with us, buddy.
Yeah, man. Hey, congrats to you, Spence. Hopefully you're having fun. Uh, but yeah, man, I'm
My,
happy to be back on the pod with you, hanging out. Let's get after it. I mean, a lot of things going. We finally got a couple dubs the other day, so things maybe trending in the right direction, but there's always something to talk about in Philadelphia sports. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and you don't have to throw too many congrats Spence's way. Dude got married well over a year ago at this point.
Oh,
But yeah, they didn't do the whole honeymoon thing, with COVID, and then they did like a mini honeymoon in like Long Island, and then now they finally did it proper. I think they're in the Maldives, if I'm not mistaken.
oh, hey,
But
man,
that doesn't.
if you're gonna be together for the rest of your life, it's just another vacation. Have fun. So, eh.
Exactly. Why you got to call it anything? Just go ball out and knock back a couple pina coladas. But somebody who wasn't on vacation last night and probably won't be the rest of the season, Joel Hans Embiid, um, took a bit of a hit in the MVP race. We were ahead and we were behind Giannis, and then seemingly overnight after that monstrous 52-point Celtics win, where we had literally half of the Sixers' points, he and Harden carried most of the load. He's now a heavy favorite to win at around a minus 700. Is this finally the year we have justice for Joel Embiid?
Yeah, no, 100% should be. We should have been saying this about 3 weeks ago, but then all of a sudden he misses a game. People are saying he's ducking Jokic. Yeah, Giannis is going and beating up on the Sixers, and all of a sudden it's just that flip flop, wishy washy. Joel Embiid's been that dude, averaging 30 points a game plus. What? How many games in a row did he go? 30 points, 29 or something like that. He almost got to 30. I mean, the
He's gonna be a
guy's just been a
small.
stud. He's been carrying the Sixers all year. The guy's the definition of the most important player on this Sixers team. He is the process. He is what the Sixers went through the process for to be able to compete for championships. And without that guy, you wouldn't have a shot.
Yeah, he's the most dominant center since Shaq, and I think there's parts of Joel Embiid's game that I think are superior to Shaq's. Shaq was the definition of a guy who just you couldn't stop him. He was stronger than we've ever seen
Yeah.
before. He was bigger than we've ever seen before. Great footwork, but he wasn't asked to do the kinds of things that Joel Embiid's asked to do for this team either. He has to be Kobe, he has to be Shaq, he has to be Pau Gasol, he has to be every one of those guys every single night for us to have a chance to win. His career, he just passed LeBron James in career scoring average, which I know does fluctuate a lot, but we asked this guy to do a Herculean amount, and he keeps coming up bigger and bigger and bigger. And for what it's worth, we keep letting them down. But we're going to get to that in the second, the second topic here. But I think he has to win. I think there's no way around it. I think if Jokic wins the third one, even down in his heart of hearts, he'll have to know it wasn't earned necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for Embiid that's made him step up this year, right, is where he's gone from that bully ball, that back you down, fadeaway jumper to he can go straight up like a guard, get you at the foul line, cross you over, take a step into a jump shot, and just nail him. He's hitting those free throw jumpers. He can make the fadeaways at the elbow. Come on, guys. I thought I put that on. My fault
Good.
about that. But yeah, I mean, he's making every shot that he has to now. He's worked on that game because he knows he's going to be the guy making that last shot. He's going to be taking it. Whether it's going to be the first time, the second time, he's taken that shot for the 76ers, and he's worked on it. You see the moves like Kobe earlier in the year. I mean, the guy's just, his game has evolved to where he's just not that back you down guy anymore. It's not just, hey, stay in the paint. The guy can do everything. He's athletic, sometimes a little too athletic for his own good, where you kind of get scared where he's jumping up in the air and you're like, relax, Joe, relax. Like his biggest enemy at this point is gravity. As long as gravity doesn't affect his body and injure him, he will be okay. the Sixers will get to the second round of the playoffs, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm guessing, but yeah, he just does things that Jokic just can't do. Just physically, he cannot do it, and he has been able to hone it, master it, and been able to do it every game when he wants to. That's the biggest thing, when he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, and like what's absurd about how great he is and how I'm always in awe when I watch him in the post of his footwork and that he has this like ballerina like body control for a guy who's 7 feet tall, roughly 280. And he picked the sport up later than most. I mean, he picked up a basketball the first time around 10, didn't start getting serious instruction until high school on how to play basketball. And, really came over to the U.S. not knowing how to shoot the ball. I mean, there's that iconic quote where he said he watched white people shoot and just followed their form. So, I mean, to be more or less self-taught and be this good, I think that just goes to part of the story, too. I mean, a lot of these guys are playing high-level AAU, trainers, handlers. Someone's been, grooming their jump shot since they were able to stand. And then you have Joe, who was a soccer guy through and through, came into the NBA like rail thin. Like if you look back at his first Sixers action, I mean, he looked like Nerlens Noel's build. And just to, turn himself into this unstoppable force, I think that counts for something too. But we're going to hope that he can continue to be an unstoppable force because that force tends to get stopped right around the second round of the playoffs. Right now we're slated with Brooklyn to start off, but I'm curious to hear your take, Trilli. Who's your dream playoff road to the finals?
I want to slay dragons. That's what I want.
Okay.
We're slaying the first dragon where Joel goes and he gets that MVP.
Yep.
And then we're going to go and we're going to slay Ben Simmons. We're taking on Brooklyn, where the
sitting?
guy's not even going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to be sitting there. Probably he's not even going to go on to the games. Has he been going to the games?
No.
Exactly. That's what kind of a guy he is, man, where he's just not going to be
shit
there.
about basketball, dude. He doesn't care.
He doesn't. And we're going to go and we're going to just absolutely dominate them, sweep them 4-0, where Joel checks off that MVP. He's going to go and he's going to prove to Ben that I'm the guy and sweep him without him even being there. And then we're going to go and we're going to take on – people hate when I say we, but guess what, man? Look at all
we're
the
invested.
Stuff. Yeah, we're so invested as sports fans, but that's another topic. But anyway, he's going to go and take on the Boston Celtics, who they just took down the other night, the team that has been their pain in their side for the past decade, whether it's the old teams or now the teams with Tatum and Brown and Al Horford. And he wants to go and prove that he can go and get the job done. I think this team is there to be able to do that. Then after that, I mean, if you get the Bucks, you get the Bucks. But anything can happen. The other teams have to win to get there. The Sixers have to win to get there, obviously, too. But I want the Nets. I want the Celtics. Then give me the Bucks. And then we'll take on I don't care in the finals because I think the West is just not as good right now with an unhealthy Suns team. The Nuggets, I don't even think they can get past the second round either. So I'm pumped. I'm not fully all in quite yet. I've been on the fence a lot this year on this team. I feel like a lot of the cities like that also, but some of the things are starting to come together here. Harden's finally getting that killer instinct. He's starting to make some 3-point shots. That's been the biggest thing. He's able to cross it up and drain a 3 or 2, where he's been struggling for that for the past year now that he's been on the squad. So what do you think of that? Do you think there's a different thing that you want there, Brandon?
I mean, I think either way, like you said, we have to go. I would like to get Boston out of the way sooner than later, too. The only thing about the Nets don't worry me. No one in the first round worries me. I want to avoid Miami in the first round just because I think the Nets have no chance of getting past us. And I never want to see Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, regardless of – I know his squad's down. I know they're not getting the production out of Hero and out of Duncan Robinson. I get all that. I still never want to see Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. So I'd much rather see the Nets, which I know we're slated to have right now. And then the second round is a pick 'em. I don't love seeing Boston. I don't love seeing Milwaukee. Boston as far back as I think 2012, we had that magical run where we beat the Bulls, went to 7 against Boston and got beat. And it feels like since then they've had our number. So I'm always afraid to play them. But Milwaukee looks like probably the best team in the NBA right now. So I'm not really keen on seeing them either. I don't know. I'm in that place where I worry about, second round exits entirely possible, and I'm afraid of what that looks like for the team. Like if we leave in the second round, does Harden come back? I don't think so. I think regardless, you got to do something with Toby. So I want this group of guys to make it. So I think if they don't, it's overhaul time.
Yeah. Do you think that fear of that second round, right? Do you think that's what's kept you and myself and multiple fans throughout the year? Where I mean, I work for Mark Farzetta too on his Farzy Show podcast. He's like at the beginning of the year, fast forward to the second round, right? A lot of
Yeah.
people have been that way. Has that made this run not as enjoyable? Should we start to ramp up and say screw it, like let's get in it, play the song, baby, like my boy Anthony Gargano every show after a big Sixers dub? Like, should we get going? Should we be excited again for this team, or you kind of sound like you're still a little hesitant?
Look, I have the same thought process with every Philadelphia team, and I'm sure you do too, because you get hurt so damn often that I don't have it in me to invest, especially in the Sixers and Phillies, to be emotionally invested for 82 or 162. I would need a shrink. But that's not to say that at the minute the playoffs start, I won't go balls to the wall. I've like hedged my bets for 82, but game one, first round, they're going to the finals. I will live and die by that. I just can't do it for 6 months on end. It's too much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, both of us are watching every game. We're invested wise, but just that, Phillies start out, we'll get to it, 0-4, right? Now 1-5. You can't be like, oh, the world's over. You can't go after one loss to the Bucks. Oh, they can't beat these teams, blah, blah, blah. They don't have a shot. Why even care? That's what makes it great about sports. That's why we buy the clothes. That's why we watch the game. It's because we want to be invested. We want to be ready and be there. And I'm ready to be hurt again, Brandon. That's what makes it so great. the almost a little bit where we're cheering for our teams, but we're also rooting against other teams also. And that's what makes sports so amazing and special, where I can go and we can be like this for most of the year. We can still be invested in everything. But once we know, as educated sports fans, a lot of places aren't, that we've watched our teams throughout the year and we know whether it's ready to get behind them or not. It's not just blind faith. I'd sit here and tell you right now the Sixers can't get past that Boston Celtics teams, but I don't believe that. I believe they can. For many reasons. I think that nobody can stop Joel. I think if Harden gets hot, I think Toby has played great defense on Tatum. So we'll see there. He's kind of figuring out that role. A lot of people hate on Toby because of that big contract, but the guy has been able to do whatever you want for him and figure it out. Their biggest question is that bench. Who's going to make those 3-point shots? PJ Tucker finally made an appearance the other night, right? Hitting a couple of those threes. He's been saving those. He's been saving those in the chamber, man. He's been using Roman swipes or whatever. If we got a different sponsor, Blue Chew, where he's been saving up, ready to rock and roll, not ready to bust yet. He's going to wait till the playoffs, and that's when he's going to thrive and make that $30 million that he's getting paid, is when he gets to the playoffs. So
I gotta say, I think he's, in my opinion, we overpaid for him, but we had to. That was necessary evil. I'm very happy with what we've gotten from PJ Tucker this year. I didn't expect PJ Tucker to come in and be a lights out 3-point shooter. I wanted him to come in, be a dog, toughen this team up, and for the love of God, get a 50-50 ball. And if you watch the games, he gets so many 50-50 balls that turn into an open look for Maxey, an open look for Shake Milton. I don't know if they're on the floor together a lot. Shake Milton seems to profit so much from PJ Tucker's 50-50 balls that he just finds him open in the corner. Like I'm if all he gives us is what he's already given us through the playoffs, I'm still happy because that wins playoff games. Toughness and 50-50 balls win games against teams like Milwaukee and Boston because they've always out-hustled us.
Yeah, that's what you got him for, is for the playoffs. That's exactly what you got him for. Now, the only other question for me, honestly, is Maxey and who's that guy off the bench. Talk with George Niang a little bit when he came into the Fanatic. Like, he's been hot or cold, but he's got that guy. He can get that mean streak going. He can make those couple threes. He can get the minivan, beep, beep. He can get going. Bang, bang, George Niang from 3. Like, if he gets hot, he gets angry. If he's shooting in the Wells Fargo Center, that place can get rocking. So
Yeah.
you need those guys. It's not just Joel putting up 50 points. It's not Harden putting up 20 and 15. So we'll see. I like Jaden McDaniels. I think he can be a great addition to this
I love
team
him and Niang on the floor together.
because they kind of compensate for the quickness
Yeah.
Jalen will give you, and then Niang can give you a little bit more of that shooting.
Mm-hmm. They're a good yin and yang because I love George Niang. When he gets hot, you're right. The building is electric. He is a bit of a traffic cone on defense.
Yeah.
But Jalen McDaniels is so athletically gifted, he can overcome some of that.
Mhm.
I think, and I've said this every playoff run, our X factor for as long as he's on the roster is Shake Milton. And it could be because I just saw a TikTok today.
I'm out on Shake.
What's up?
I said I've been out on Shake, man.
Dude, when he gets hot, he has that like microwave kind of like poor man's Lou Will effect to him. It could be that I just saw the TikTok of him putting up 39 against the Clippers a few years ago. Yeah, but, I mean, you see him do it every once in a while. It's in there. And I don't think off the bench you have anyone else who can create their own shot as well as he can. Niang's a spot-up guy. McDaniels is kind of, second chance points. We don't have another guy who I think can create his shot like Milton can, like create offense out of nothing.
Yeah, and I agree with that, where he can be it. It's just, unlike Tobias Harris, he hasn't been able to figure out where the Sixers need him. He hasn't been able really to figure out how to play off ball a little bit with James Harden, where I think he would thrive with James and out there, right? Because all he's got to do is just kind of sit around, get open, and just knock down shots. And you really haven't seen it very much where they've been playing together this year. Now, I just lost my train of thought. Keep going.
Yeah, you're good. I had a question queued up because we have two I want to get your take on, and then we'll move on to the Phillies because they're equally interesting at the moment. Number one, who's your backup center in the playoffs? And then number two, is the thing holding this team back their head coach?
I mean, yes. You saw what Doc said, I guess, today, right? Or yesterday, or I don't know.
When he referenced what worked in 2008 and it has to still work now?
Yes, exactly.
Even though the game's changed dramatically over the last 14 years?
Exactly. And that was with 3 Hall of Famers. Now, I mean, granted, I think he got 2. If Embiid wins one here, I think he's definitely got an MVP. I mean, he's definitely got a case for potential. And if he keeps going like he is, stays healthy for a couple more years. But Harden, Hall of Famer. But just figuring out those bench rotations is really where that first 4 minutes, last 2 minutes, 4 minutes in the third, and a third going into the fourth, right? That's where they lose the games most of the time. They almost did it against Boston the other night, where you had that whole bench lineup, and they just give it up every single time. They wait till put Joel in and 7-6 left, depending on the game. And then you have to rely on Joel Embiid to go 7 for 10 for his shots the rest of the game. Like, you make it impossible almost, but he's been able to live up to that this year because he's the MVP. But you put him in such a tough position where he almost has to be perfect doing that. So I hope he figures that out.
Me too. And then,
because having guys like B-Ball Paul in, right, as his backup, Montrezl Harrell, who just hasn't seen the court, I'll give respect to the Bucks social media, right, where they were talking about, the guy complaining how he needs to get his work in when getting Giannis out of there with the ladder, right? And then all of a sudden, a guy that's been trying to get his work in, how many minutes has he gotten ever since? I'll give him props there. That's a good burn. Good. He hasn't gotten a lot.
That's some good hating. That's some real good hating.
I as a guy that likes a troller too, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But you bring in guys like that. You bring in guys like Dwayne Dedman that just are deadbeats, honestly. I mean, they've been good basketball players before. They just don't fit in anymore in this style of game where, B-Ball Paul can do it. He gets a terrible whistle. He doesn't get calls that he should. He gets fouls called on him that are just like, what are we doing? And then sometimes he's too much like a baby giraffe and he just can't hold on to the ball. And we're like, what are we doing here, buddy? You're so athletic. Just catch and dunk sometimes.
He
then
does get ahead of himself.
with that, can you bank on him getting, 12 minutes in a playoff run for you, Brandon? Or do you got to go to a guy like PJ Tucker, move him to that 5 spot?
No, I'd rather have. I'll live and die with what B-ball Paul gives you. Especially against maybe if you're gonna go PJ Tucker, you could do it in a Celtics matchup because they don't get real big as a team. The Bucks, I think he's unplayable at the 5. Brook Lopez will make his life a living hell. Same with Giannis. I think that's when you put B-ball Paul in at the 5 because he's had flashes. I mean, you saw that game. It was against Denver where Joe didn't play. Forget the social media side of that. Dude, Paul played great. He had 16 points, 12 boards, and Doc only gave him 18 minutes a run. So, I mean, you've seen the flashes where against really good teams, he can play, high-quality basketball.
Yeah. I don't want to go on a B-ball Paul victory tour just yet. But he's definitely given me more confidence than I've had.
That's a deep cut, and I hope people appreciated it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with the Sixers. We're both ready to get hurt again. I'm pretty much guaranteed tickets to the first round. We'll see. We'll see if I get second round tickets or not. But we had a lot of fun with the Phillies October into November. Thought the good times are going to keep rolling. We brought Trey Turner in. We got, Gregory Soto. We got Taijuan Walker. I mean, we were loading up for a run. And here we sit at the time of this podcast staring down a 1-6 start. Not the way we saw these things going. What is it? Is this a World Series hangover? Are there other things at play? What's your diagnosis here, Dr. Trilli?
I think it's a little bit of a World Series hangover because just how powerful that run was and how much of a quick turnaround it really is.
Yeah.
Played into November, back into it. Most guys were back in what? I mean,
like second week of February,
right? Playing the World Baseball Classic, a lot of them. You're missing your best player, the MVP, and Bryce Harper for the first chunk of the year now, who's been given a lot of great signs, honestly, hitting at Yankee Stadium today, BP.
He's not human.
That guy gets it, man. That's all I got to say. And then you go and you lose your other guy, and Reese, who's a big part of that culture, who's been there. I've never been a huge Reese guy. A lot of people know that, but I give him respect where it's due, where he is a leader. He is a guy that can bust you out of a slump like this, even though he gets into a lot of slumps too. But anyway.
But you're losing 30 home runs and 100 RBIs when you take him off the roster. That's tough to make up.
Yeah. So their biggest problem is getting out of the World Series hangover, right? It's a newer team. You have the Trey Turners. You have the Walkers. You have Nola trying to figure it back out again. The bullpen guys. Yeah, he did. He looked very good. Very good. He got hosed on a couple different strike calls where they were stealing and blue pits. So making those steps back, it's the pitching.
Yeah.
Normally, Brandon, don't you? In the past, watching baseball, isn't it the pitching that usually has the go-ahead, right, to start the year, and the bats have to wait to get warmed up till June, maybe, where it's hitting season? But it seems like the bats for every other team except for the Phillies are rocking, and the Phillies pitchers just can't throw strikes.
For what it's worth, dude, our bats aren't bad. I mean, we have a ton of extra base hits. We're not getting timely hits is the big problem.
Yes.
And I think the reason you're seeing a reverse, and it's, it's going to sound like an excuse, but I think it's the Phillies' fault a little bit. I don't think they took this new pitch clock seriously enough in spring training. They seem surprised by it, where everyone's dealing with the same thing. I think it's bullshit. I hate it. I think it sucks. But every team's dealing with it. It looks to me like we ignored it or treated it as an option in spring training, and we're not prepared to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that big time, because you saw Kyle really struggle those first 4 games until he finally hit one out of the park the other day, and now he's back-to-back days where he just wasn't in there and settled, and a lot of those swings were because of it. And because a bunch of these guys were in the World Baseball Classic where those rules just didn't apply.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's definitely a good point that I really haven't considered. But yeah, the guys just are uncomfortable up there. and it seems rushed. Do you think guys are not taking as many pitches? I want to see the stats come out maybe after another week where guys aren't running as deep of counts now, where they're going up there first pitch, where maybe in their careers they really haven't been swinging first pitch because they just don't want to get behind where the pitcher can get on top of you at that point and dictate the clock to you.
Yeah. I mean, look, probably outside of golf, you could argue that baseball is the most cerebral sport there is. And, you know, it's a lot of cat and mouse. It's a lot of if you know, if the pitcher does this, I do this, and vice versa. And I just don't think you can put a clock on that, or at least as short of one as they did, and not fundamentally change the game. And I think you're absolutely right. I think guys are more ill-prepared at the plate. They're not taking time in between pitches to reevaluate, get set, get comfortable. They all have those weird ticks that they do with their bat. You can't do that. I mean, you're drastically changing something. A lot of these guys have probably done since they were 8, 9, 10 years old. So, I mean, it's a drastic change.
See, I'm fine with the pitch clock for most of it, but getting rid of the ticks, right? The spit, grab your junk, fix the jersey, batting gloves. You know, Raul Ibanez was the best at it, right? He would go grab, wrist, you know, get back in there, and it would take him like a minute between every pitch, right? I'm fine with getting rid of that. But then on the flip side of it, you don't think about it as that's a guy saying, okay, he just threw me a fastball up and in, right? 2 pitches in a row. Do you think he's going with that changeup blowing away? Does he go down and in with a curveball? Like, you kind of forget that time in between is a hitter, and on the pitching standpoint too, thinking, which way do I want to go with this? And now it's just, you know, bang, foul ball, get back in there, 15 seconds. It's definitely
processing that whole time, and you're cutting that way down. So it's it's going to be an adjustment. And I also think, myself included, that I was a little bit punch drunk with the Phillies, and that everything was always going to be okay, and I never considered another reality. And we kept losing guys, you know, like Andrew Painter. I was like, look, you know what? He was promising. The kid was good. We'll be all right. We'll put Bailey Falter up. We're going to be okay. Ranger Suarez with a setback for a month. We can weather that storm. We'll do a long man. We had Noah Syndergaard last year. We can do this. We'll be all right. Reese goes down. That's tough to get past. We got Derek Hall. He can hit. He can, we can platoon Boom over there. We're going to be all right. And we just kept taking so many hits. We knew about Bryce Harper going in, and I kept talking myself out of, okay, we're going to be fine. Dude, we lost. I mean, a lot of those guys are huge. You lost your number 3 starter, a perennial MVP candidate, and your first baseman for the last 8 seasons. Not to mention an up-and-coming rookie. Like, you can't lose that much and not notice it.
Yeah. I think the biggest one, honestly, is Ranger. Because you knew you were going to be missing Bryce, right? The Reese you didn't know, obviously. But you can kind of make up for it, hopefully, with Alec Bohm. With maybe Derek Hall, but now he might be out for a couple weeks with a broken finger, it seems like, or a sprained finger. And you can kind of, hopefully Nick Castellanos can go and turn around a season that absolutely stunk. He hasn't gotten there yet this year.
So he can't out on 48% of his at-bats.
Yeah.
Not great.
So you could try to piece together a Rhys Hoskins, almost Moneyball-esque, right? But with Ranger going out, that was a guy that was eating you 6+ innings. He was going to battle. You could throw him in dire situations out of the bullpen. He was a guy that was going to get it and go, and that he doesn't need a pitch clock. Ranger never needed a pitch clock. So this is where he would have thrived even more. And for him to go out there, be banged up to start the year, you lose that depth of now you got to get Strom in there, who pitched well. Or Strom.
I'm a fan of his. I actually like him.
Yeah, guy pumps himself up. Hey, pitching the Aaron Judge, the MVP, home run AL King in quotation marks. And he's going, get that ball down. Get that ball down. He's a competitor.
He gets it.
Yes.
He'll be just fine here.
Yes, exactly. And not having that consistent guy in Ranger, who is another competitor just like him, it hurts that pitching staff, and losing guys like Painter too, that you were kind of expecting to hop in and give you 5 strong innings. It's really taken a toll over the first couple games of the year. They're going to figure it out, Brandon. I'm not worried about this at all. Baseball's such a long season. They're going to go on a nice they probably are going to sweep the Reds this weekend. I'm out there. They're going to sweep the Reds this weekend. I'm very confident in that. The Reds are not a good baseball team. Shout out the boy Mike Ciani, but he's in AAA. If Mike was up, maybe that I would give him a shot to win a game. But at home, we're putting the banner up. It's going to be electric this weekend. I'm excited for it. This team's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think the bank's going to be rocking for sure, which we've seen definitely helps. I was worried about the vibes they were going to come back to. Like,
yeah,
if they came into that building without a win, it might have been a different kind of feel. But you're right. I think they're going to come in
0-6. They would have been getting booed putting the NL championship banner up. Oh yeah, just imagine all the ESPN and all the accounts. What is God?
We would have done it.
Yeah, 100%. They would have deserved it.
Yeah,
they would have 100% deserved it.
And Bryce would have been back out in right field in 3 days somehow. He would have just willed his way back out there.
But it's going to be fun. The summer's going to be great. We're going to be at a lot of games. We're going to be there dog night. Hey, feel free to hit us up, DM us, whatever. I'm at Brendan Petrilli on everything. If you want to come hang out with us at the game, I'm always down. Maybe we'll have a hot dog eating contest or something. It'll be fun.
Okay. I'll have to not eat that day, but yeah,
come on,
for sure.
Dude. Actually, that would be good content put out.
That would be pretty sick.
Subscribe to the channels. We'll go meet up one of the innings. We'll see who can eat a nice glizzy the fastest. All right. I know you perverts out there want to see that.
All right, April 11th. Mark it in your calendars. The hot dog tracker is in production. We'll see me versus Trilli who can knock down the most glizzies. Between now and then, we might squeeze in another episode. Just stay tuned to the 2 hours no traffic Twitter. On your ride to work tomorrow, make sure you check out the Cold Ones Conversations podcasts or check in the 97.5 and you can see some of Trilli's handiwork. Buddy, thanks for popping on, man. I really appreciate it. Anything else you want to plug while you're here?
Yeah, BSP podcast too. That's my Philly one. My personal one. So if you want more Philly content, but yeah, Cold Ones, Harry and I are about to do a Masters preview, little NBA talk over there as well. We'll be putting that out tomorrow. So yeah, appreciate you, brother. Always fun hopping on, talking a little sports with you. Miss those days back at SU.
Yeah, dude, back when we were on the proper airwaves doing a terrestrial style.
Hey, hopefully sometime soon we'll be back on there. I'm real excited with the Fanatic. I just got promoted to the YouTube producer for the midday and morning show. So I'm super excited about that. So go subscribe to that. Also, feel free to hit me up in the chat. I need people on my side. Everybody's like, where's Heavy Chevy at? So I need you guys to hop in and help me win everybody over.
We need an army behind Trilli. You hear that, fellas?
Yeah, let's get it.
Till next time, thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.